3401 Woodley Road.
Mr. President, we can, because I will see him in here, so we could discuss it regular meeting. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Ms. Mitchell.
5, ordinance amending section 21-32, composition, appointment, and term of office of members of Planning Commission.
All right, council, we got that. We carried it over. So any questions we can talk? Oh, you want to talk on it? Come on. If the council have any questions, he's at the mic. Warren, we good? Good. Thank you. That's the easiest.
Mr. President,
Mr. Mitchell.
I have a question for you. So I know we're looking at the planning, but why are we not doing all our city council appointed positions for these terms of these appointments along with the terms of our, why are we just looking at planning and not all those ones that we pick? I know some are by legislative, but the ones that we actually appoint.
I think we're looking at, Warren can speak on it, but I know we're talking about planning of the Board of Adjustments and the,
Yes, Historic Preservation Commission and Architectural Review Board currently have qualification requirements. We are proposing to add a similar thing to both Planning Commission and Board of Adjustment.
I think Mr. Mitchell's talking about the year's service, like to run concurrent with
Yes.
the council, so nobody's appointing somebody, the day they're walking
going
the
out.
door.
I think that's something we'll have to just bring over the local delegation to get that from the legislature, that they can just run as your term.
Okay.
Because we know what we talk about when we get these laned up appointments
Yeah.
on your way out. Yeah. Okay, yeah, we'll look at that from a council standpoint in the upcoming agenda.
Yep.
Thank you. Item. Ms. Johnson, you holding me up?
Item 6, ordinance repealing ordinance number 40-2024, gun ID.
Ms. Pruitt?
Hey, we'll vote your conscience tonight. I got the new one, so what I'd like to do is repeal this one. We've got this one, give you guys a week, 2 weeks to look at it, and we'll put it on the next agenda.
That's in committee. The proposed one you put into committee. So you will have to
just got
call
it,
it
didn't
out
you?
of committee, even though it's not, it hasn't been given to the committee during the meeting. It has been reported in the minutes to committee.
So what?
So the
We'll put it in-
council can
we'll
call
put
it
in
from
committee.
committee.
We'll call it. We'll do it.
Call it from committee,
Okay, we'll do
and
that.
then introduce it and carry it over at the same
And
time.
we need the committee to vote on it then tonight, right? To come out,
Okay,
the 5 people to come out of it?
has everybody looked at it?
Yeah.
If there are substantial changes, it has to come as a new ordinance.
We'll do it as a new ordinance.
Okay.
We can do it as a new ordinance, that's
Okay.
not a problem. But I have the new one for us to take a look at. And
Okay.
legal's very happy with this one.
All right. Thank you, Ms. Pruitt.
Yes.
Item 7.
Review of business license of D&D Touring and Recovery, 23 West Patton Avenue.
Ms.
Mr. President,
Riley.
we're going to pull that off the agenda if you don't mind.
Thank you.
Item 8, resolution approving substantial amendments to HUD program years 20, 21, 23 action plan to allocate to Fairview Farmers Market.
All right. Go ahead.
Hey, good morning, Council.
Mr. Robinson.
Good afternoon, sorry. We've had some money that we want to reallocate to the farmers market. Right now, the farmers market has about $1.1 million already committed in community development block grants. Right now, we have the opportunity to reallocate $328,000 to the Fairview's farmers market. This money is coming from allocations from projects that have been completed or administrative money that can need to be reallocated. Those 3 projects are that we had money for the Lanier Place, Phase 4, which was about $163,000 that has been completed in 2020 from the 2020 allocations. The other 2 from the 2023 allocation. That is $152,000. That was houses that was supposed to be built by Service Community Development Corporation. It did not happen. We will look to allocate, they reapply, but right now we need to reallocate that money. And then we had a small amount of administrative funds, around $12,000 that need to be reallocated from the 2023 allocation as well. Right now, The estimates that we have is around $1.5 million to get this first phase started. This money reallocated will get us almost there, and we'll be able to start this pretty soon, this project pretty soon. As you guys know, the farmers market is one of the key cornerstones that for this part of the community, and we're looking to make sure that we continue to fill the gaps in our food deserts, make sure that we are incubating our businesses, making sure that we have even attract tourism to that area. And so we're asking for the reallocation of those dollars for this purpose.
All right, any questions for Mr. Robinson?
I do, Mr. President. Mr. Robinson, is there, after this reallocation, is there anything left as far as monetary that we would have to go forward with for the Fairview Market? I know we've done some other reallocations to it as well.
Yeah, there will be some small reallocation of probably about $100,000 that we can find to get this portion done.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Chairman, I got one.
All right, Mr. Bryan?
Is this money, now, I think Marche answered the same, is this money going to get us where we want to be on the farmers market or not?
Yes, it will get us where we need to be on the farmers market.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, sounds good.
All right, any other questions? Thank you, Mr. Robinson.
Thank you.
Number 9, resolution reappointing John Stanley to the Board of Adjustment.
I'm gonna hold that up. All right, number 10.
10 is our nuisances.
All right,
And council, I have put before you 2 additional contracts. These came out after the consent agenda had been posted, and I drew up resolutions for these. They have to be handled like any new business item with suspension of rules.
suspension of rules before we take them up. All right, any questions on those 2 new contracts? Live Free and you guys can be opioid abatement program.
Mr. President,
Mr. Jim Wright?
I put in front of everybody a copy of ordinance that would ask the mayor to, when he goes to the legislature, include us in whatever we do so we don't have an argument when we get to the State House. We seem to have an issue several years where we've had to deal with the, come back and get the council to approve some things. So this would kind of clear it up, make one way, so we all go as a team together when we go to the legislature to make adjustments.
Okay. All right, I know we got it, and I want to talk with you on it because I wanted to do something that we talked about earlier with me, you, and Mr. Pruitt as the committee on committees to talk about that when we talk about our government affairs department and our legislature. So let's just talk about that. We fine with it. I'm fine. All right.
Mr. President, I do have a question.
Ms. Johnson?
The Live Free, I thought we just allocated, we just allocated some money to Live Free the last council meeting. Can you explain what we're doing with this one, or maybe?
So you allocated dollars to it through a resolution. This is the actual contract that we do in the consent agenda. So this, you can't, it was a late add to the consent agenda to be able to execute and have you all approve the actual contract. So, and we got it in late. It got signed and went through the process yesterday. So as Brenda mentioned, now it has to be entered as new business. So it won't go under the old business. It'll be new business because it wasn't on the agenda.
So it wasn't a contract last one. This
Right.
is the contract. Got it. Thank you.
Right, thank you.
Right.
All right. Any other questions on the agenda? All right, in our work session, communication time, we have Mr. Robert Smith, impact on providing emergency response in the PJ. Your time is running. Two-minute warning, Robert.
All right, as you're getting the presentation, we were asked to give you a little bit of a breakdown on our processes for updating the city's emergency 911 computer-aided dispatch mapping system for emergency response. And I guess the particular topic is related to Range 231. And this is a process, not just one that the planning department handles, but we handle it through our geographic information systems division, and also through the emergency communications department, E911, with input from the Montgomery Police Department. All right, and I'm going to kind of tag team this with Ms. Bowen. And as it relates to, and Ms. Bowen is our GIS manager for the city. That stands for Geographic Information Systems. Resolution was passed, Resolution 25-2023, Range 231, which is at 3250 Wetumpka Highway. That resolution was passed in February of 2023. Was circulated, don't necessarily know to whom in that particular bullet, but what's the standard operating procedure for notification in such resolutions? Alabama ABC Board can only issue a license to a business with a valid license. And I guess this is more, speak on this one. I don't want to steal too much of her thunder there, but.
So yeah, the background on this was brought up that apparently there were some issues with them getting
Speaking to the mic, please.
Speaking to the mic.
Sorry. So the questions came up when this was brought to us about issues with emergency response to this business. In 2023 fiscal year, so October, somewhere in there, the county commissioner and the sheriff denied them their business license. City council stepped in and decided no, they should be able to continue their business, be provided an alcohol license, and we will have MPD respond. So this was February of 2023.
That's correct.
It did not come to E911 or the communications 911 department or the GIS department, and my understanding, MPD also was not aware of this resolution till November of 2024. We have done a lot in the last month to rectify this situation, but that's why these questions. What is the standard operating if a resolution like this is passed? We don't want to get in this situation again, so we want to make sure something is in place. If City Council is going to tell MPD they're responding or anybody else, then we need to make sure that resolution gets to the people involved before 18 months have passed by. So we just want to make sure something is in place, and we're all aware of that going forward. That was the whole point of those first two bullets. When it was brought up to the GIS shop, we had a state GIS conference that very week. And while I was down at the conference, Alcohol Control Board came up to me and asked, what is the deal with Range 231? They can't, it was their understanding they didn't have a business license because the resolution stated the county had denied them. So after the conference, coming back, did some digging to find out. Today actually was the day we finally got confirmation from the county that indeed the county went ahead after our resolution that will take care of the problems. The county did give them their business license, so their alcohol license is indeed valid. So that took care of those questions. The other big topic, apparently, from our meetings, a lot of the phone calls that are complaining about lack of response have been issues regarding parking. A business across the street couldn't get into their business because of all the cars that were parked in their parking lot. If the car is parked legally, if it's not posted as a tow-away zone, and no cars are blocking a lane of traffic, that's illegal parking. Any issue with that is a civil matter. There will be no 911 response because MPD does not respond to civil matters. So a lot of that issue and complaint is no response because no response is warranted. So until they post signage or do something where there is a criminal violation, there is no response. So that was the other issue brought up to us and our team. The next slides cover just what we've done. This just goes over the steps from the time we were notified of how that process is handled to get the updates into the 911 system, so that calls that do come, that do warrant a response, it is in the 911 system, and they will get a response dispatched if warranted. Next slide. This slide shows how we decided. When it was first brought up, one of the easiest ways to remedy is, let's take the parcel that business has. Only the parcel this business has is 17 acres. I did not feel that MPD's responsibility based on the resolution as written required their response to the entire 17 acres with other buildings and things along Wetumpka Highway. The resolution was written for that building. So what we did is we took a 150-foot buffer around every building that is part of their business activities. That's what you see in the blue circles. And then we took a boundary that encapsulated all those. We went a little further to the east because that light area is 2 volleyball courts where they have volleyball competitions. So we extended that boundary to make sure that that was also encapsulated. So that boundary, and we checked with our business licensing folks, their familiarity out there. All of our people said that really does capture most of the area of their business activities. So we go from roadway centerline across the parcel where their business activities occur. That's how we define the polygon. That polygon is now officially part of MPD District 5 response territory. It is 1,925 feet north of the city limits. It is the only PJ response that our MPD is now officially responsible for due to that resolution.
Just to add to that, so again, as she said, in the PJ, in this particular area, this is the only location that MPD would respond to, not any other address where somebody may be calling from, reporting some sort of a problem. So they would only respond if there was an issue that they would get involved in at this particular location.
So I got one question. Who would respond if something was happening across the street?
The county sheriff.
Issue.
County sheriff.
That's just my issue. We had this issue come up about 20 years ago.
Yes,
where
sir.
we had a sheriff say, hey, it was not my responsibility, but it's your duty by law, if you get called, that you respond. But we appreciate you guys getting this stuff into, for people can understand it. But, you know, I don't understand how you can say what you're not going to respond to and what you will respond to. So. Right.
Ms. President, could I ask a question, please?
Ms. Riley?
My question is, on this, I understand what you're saying with this, but we're having city in-house calling and not getting a response, and people not answering the phone and responding to the calls that they're calling. So what are we doing about that as well?
Well, that's not going to be
That's
something we
issue.
could actually answer.
Yeah.
We only
That's
handle
another
the
issue.
mapping associated with
So-
I think what they're trying to do is map out that this would
I
get into our
understand.
911 system.
I
But we've
understand
got
that,
to address
ma'am.
that other
We,
issue.
we can speak to it. I mean.
No, we'll speak to that next.
That's not,
Okay.
Right,
Well,
thank
Mr.
you.
President, I got
Mr. Chairman, I got a question.
Hold up, I got Mr. Szymanski, then you, Mr. Grimes.
So is there something, I'm a little bit confused because you said that in 2023, this place got a license and it took a year for them to be added to the GIS. Is that because of something that we need to do in the future? Or is there a system or a process or something that we need to adopt?
We just need to make sure that, and hope, well, I'm going to bifurcate my thoughts here really quickly. When it came to this, because this is something out of the norm that we don't do, and there was no processes and procedures in place to notify those necessary to ensure that it got into the CAD system. So and there was, and part of it also was there wasn't an understanding or a need that it needed to be added to the CAD system until there were issues. And when it got, there were calls, the calls were falling somewhere in a no man's land between the city and the county and the sheriff. And then there was a realization that there was a gap. So as we went back and did the research, the reason we have this jurisdiction island, as I call it, in the PJ is because that resolution was passed to allow them to have an alcohol license. With that, the city took on the responsibility of responding to it from a PD perspective and a fire rescue perspective. But so in 23, when the resolution was passed, it created this island that we have to respond to that's in the middle of the PJ. So what we're trying to just explain to the public and the council is we've rectified that. The hope is we never come across this again, that we kind of do that and pass another resolution that requires us to then take on another jurisdiction island somewhere in the PJ, kind of how this worked out. There's unintended consequences to passing the resolution, and we're just trying to work through those unintended consequences.
But the reason I was asking, because haven't we dealt with other properties that have been added into the PJ? I just was making sure that there aren't other locations where this would be an issue should a 911 call go out to newly added, like at Hope Hall, I think we had added something earlier this year.
Those have been added with the approval of the county.
Okay.
The
Just don't want this to repeat itself.
There's very few that
Mr.
have
Grimes?
been approved over the objections of the county.
Gotcha.
This is just one of
Mr. Grimes?
that
All
I
right,
wanted to-
so they have it, and we've had some gun violence there. We all know that. And a bullet goes across the street, shoots the windows out of the guy across the street. So, or whatever, somebody in that car over there shooting back across the street. So our police department answers, they're going to be right. They'll be over there across the street, for one thing. I realize this is a goofy scenario, but they've had some fairly serious shootings out there, so I wouldn't put anything out of the realm. My next statement would be, Mr. Chairman, we should probably look at never doing this again.
Yes.
And if we do it, it ought to be a 90-day wait period before we can do it. Because if it's the county don't need it, we probably don't need it.
All right, that's a good amendment to put on the next one.
Mr.
Because
President.
it's almost like the county waited on the city to do it, and then they turned around and issued them a business license. Now they're collecting taxes.
Mr. President. Okay. Mr. President.
Ms. Beard?
Yeah, I wish I had
All right,
known.
one at a time, one at a time.
I wish I had known, this was coming up, because I have a folder about that thick, and we met on it recently as well. I've talked with Mr. Reed about it, but that is a legislative thing that we have got to do, because to me, common sense tells me county business license, county alcohol license. I'm the grand poobah.
County response.
Yes, county response. I inherited this. So there's been some incidents since we've been here talking that we've got to deal with, and Chief Grayboys and I have discussed this. And the thing about it is that we've got to owe up and let them know too, I feel like, that this is no man's land. I love that allusion there. But they didn't have a business license. When all this started, correct, they did not have a business license. We found that out.
Yes, ma'am.
And so they went back to the county. I heard from the county, we're not going to grant them another one, but guess what? They did, and they paid their back taxes. And then I believe their alcohol license comes up maybe in June or that kind of thing. So I really think we can converse about this a little bit deeper, but if you have another meeting on Range 231, I'd love to be involved with that, please.
All right, thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you, Mr. Smith. Thank you, ma'am.
You're welcome.
Brenda Collins, God be the glory ministry.
I come and stand for District 7 to acknowledge to you this organization that I'm trying to get going in the community for as beyond the four walls, glory be to God. So what this organization is for, I ask that you look at the calibrations that I've printed out that you have before you. It covers what this ministry want to do in the community. For is doing activities out front, letting the community know that this minister is for the least ones, the homeless, and the ones that is less fortunate. We have a lot of this in our community. So this ministry want to go forward out and let them know that It's there for them. And what this minister does, we distribute to them the necessity of life that they need. For us, the homeless, we like to give them a tent, or they need water, or we're handing out portages for them in nursing homes. I go out and visit and take these items to the nursing home, and I minister to them and let them know that this ministry is available to them in the community, reaching out to them. And this ministry is for all. It's not just for one particular person or to someone that is less fortunate. It's for, this mission is to go forward and to meet the needs of everyone that is in need and that need help. And to go forward with it, we was asking for your help, and we printed it out. When I say beyond the four walls, that means we are out doing it. We are action. We are in action. We are in force. We are dealing with people person to person. We are letting them know that the love of God is available for them. And a lot of times, we have people that are in our community that fall to drugs, and they don't know how to come back. But this ministry will help build them back up and try to help them to get back on their feet and lead them in a way to be positive in the community. We need this in our communities, not just District 7, but in all communities, because every community is dealing with this problem. It would go further on for tutoring, and not only that, I want to get it started by this spring to be enforced and imprisoned in the community, letting them know that this ministry and organization is here for them, and that if they are in need of any of these items, we'll be able to give them to them. This mission is only going to embody the people that God loves them. And that's what we're missing in our community, the love. And if we can show it, act it out, then I think our community would be better, because they'll see it. They won't just hear it. They will see it in actions.
Thank you, Ms. Collins. That's your time.
Mr. President.
Ms. Johnson.
Ma'am, if you're seeking support from the council, you need to look at Community Foundation of Central Alabama. There's a process for any nonprofit to make sure that all your paperwork is in order and to ensure that what you're doing is not being duplicated. And because you're doing something like that, I would ask that you see Mr. Eddie Compton and ensure that, you know, you're speaking about homeless, and we have a homeless task force. So we just don't want duplication of efforts in the community when you can work with someone.
Yes.
But the Community Foundation of Central Alabama.
Okay, of course.
Yes, ma'am.
But I do have somebody working with me for this event that I want to go forward with for the summer. It calls the Cortildor Legacy Foundation.
Yes, ma'am.
They are working with me to go forward with this project.
But any funding you need or you're asking for from the council, you will need to go through Community Foundation of Central Alabama so you can do your proper paperwork and request the funds.
But I thought I was heading in the right direction. I was led to do this procedure.
That's what I just explained to you.
Yes.
So instead of doing this, you just complete an application on the Central Community Foundation of Central Alabama's website, and everything will be sent to the council, and we'll look at it and decide if we will fund the project.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you, Ms. Thank you, Ms. Collins. Ms. Johnson. This ain't nothing but. All right, Sarah Powell, East South.
I'm here today as a member of the Board of Eat South to request an official memorandum of understanding between our organization and the City Council. Given the events over the last year, Eat South is in a position that it cannot fundraise effectively and currently does not have a location to work from, let alone host events or programs. While we are grateful from the generous offers from 2 districts, we have the ability to co-create a much more effective citywide strategy. We provide up to $70,000 a year in free workshop classes and after-school programs. We work with a variety of urban ag farmers and groups like Tuskegee University, the Capital City Master Gardeners, the AKA Alumni Chapter, and Fresh Greens Market. Our farmer is a current employee of the city. Her salary is passed in the budget already, and the farm is considered city property. We are actively promoted as a city park and a tourist destination. However, we have continued at our location with no plumbing, no wireless internet connectivity, no security, no maintenance to the walking paths, proper signage or street lighting, and a staff of 2 women and volunteers that consists of seniors, school-age students, and veterans. I have personally volunteered every Sunday for the last 10 years and can attest that overall security and general maintenance has been an ongoing concern at our expense. While we have maintained operations and mobile outreach over the last year with 64 classes, we've been moved to an abandoned nursery complex that was previously used for pesticide storage with no heat, internet, or parking and public access. Last year, to this day, almost, our office burned on location and our property has continued to be damaged and vandalized with little to no response. In fact, miscommunication between city departments has left the entire hillside felled and covered in herbicide. The prioritization of tenants' views outweighed the work that we have dedicated the last 10 years to, and we were not notified about the relocation of our longtime neighbors at the advertiser or the addition of paid parking. Most importantly, the current site is a health and environmental risk to the community. We discovered soil contamination while trying to expand to an orchard in the back portion of the property. Additional remediation must be done. We've been told multiple times that this has been resolved, but there is no risk assessment or remediation work plan to reference. We are willing to forgive the missteps of previous leadership to be able to move forward, but not without the commitment to fix it, especially given that our primary employee on the property was diagnosed with cancer within the last 5 years. We are invested in building community and supporting initiatives that ultimately serve our city, schools, and neighborhoods. We want to develop a citywide urban sustainability program to promote urban agriculture, composting, pollinator habitats, and additional initiatives. Our programs serve every district, and we have the ability to establish more funding, more staff, more outreach with true partnership. We encourage you to visit us this Saturday at the Montgomery Public Library for our last event this year. The end of this organization would be a grave loss of consequence to the children and the communities that we serve. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Reed, what department is working with East South on this issue? Because there's something coming before the council, but this is a day-to-day operation issue.
So I have Patrick Dunson to speak to some of the claims that were made in that conversation. We're trying to work with them, but at the end of the day, we're trying to actually find them a new location, and we're working on that right now. However, in lieu of that, we're still assisting and operating along with them. But I'll have Mr. Dunson, our Public Works Director, speak to some of those comments.
All right.
Yes, just to let the council know some of the things we've been doing in the area over the past, I would say 9 months or so. If you've been in the area, if you've been up to the Overlook Park area, we have replaced, there was wooden overlook areas. We've been up there and replaced all those. They were rotted out, so we've replaced those fully. In addition to that, you may have seen there was a lot of overgrowth vegetation. So if you were at the Overlook Park trying to look down and see the East South Park or see the river, we worked in conjunction with the Alabama Department of Transportation to come in and to grind down and remove that vegetation down so that you could clearly see the river, see our lovely view of the river from that area. So we've done that as well. We've also made some repairs to sidewalks up on the park area. And so we've been continually working on those things. I think in addition to that, there's been claims of overuse of herbicide. The only herbicide that was used was at the top of in the areas I'm talking about, the Overlook, where we did some spot spraying for kudzu control. And so that's really the extent of the work that's been going on over the past few months. But
all right, any questions for Mr. Dunn?
So wait, Mr. President, I guess the question is the progress and timeline, because obviously, you know, one of the things that was alluded to is and I believe city employees, right? Technically, isn't the city covering employee costs for, or used to at least pick up the dime on the employee costs for the people that are actually running the Eat South program? So what is the timeline for this relocation, and where are we looking at for? I mean, because we obviously have people that have been without work or a location to work and run this program for a year. I remember when, and I'm sure Councilor Johnson remembers when we put Eat South in, this was a kind of a mainstay of downtown.
Yes, I've met with Kayla Rowling 3 times the last 2 months. We're going to meet again on the 21st to discuss the future plans for East South and the garden.
All right. Any other questions? Thank you, Mr. Dean. All right, S. Boss.
Good afternoon, Council.
Hey, good afternoon.
Thank you for allowing us this moment to provide an update on SBOSS and where we are with the initiative. So we were awarded in May. Since that time, we have stood up numerous programs with the funding that we received. We were able to do a brand pivot from the lab on Dexter that was supporting small businesses via the chamber, and make sure that we had a rebrand and that these programs were carried over to the city and county, which is funded by ARPA funds. So we began seeing clients virtually. We have moved to a physical space since that time. Many of you were able to be at our grand opening.
I know we're talking about SBOSS. Go ahead and tell the public what we're talking about when we're talking
Absolutely,
about
and my apologies. We are talking about the Small Business One-Stop Shop funded through the ARPA funds. This is a free service offered, funded through the city and the county. I want to provide a quick progress report that will tell where our efforts are leaning towards. We have seen 301 clients to date. That's 261 entrepreneurs and small businesses since May. We've held 67 events, educational workshops, networking, on-demand training. And I won't go through all the data for the sake of time, but 600 hours of support provided to entrepreneurs, 1,142 event participants, and then I really think that I should highlight that we have also hired an outreach coordinator. So we're not just waiting on people to come to us. We are out in the community. We have a town hall collaboration with Councilwoman Johnson coming up at the end of the month, and we welcome the opportunity to partner with every council person.
All right.
60 plus small business workshop, monthly town halls, accelerator programs, innovation labs. We are located on Dexter Avenue in the Crest building. It was important for us to be centrally located and easy to access. We have our socials up, our websites are up, and we are actively engaging with the community. Some of the challenges that we face with these 45 seconds, if you don't mind. We want to continue to collaborate with the city and the county. We understand that business licensure continues to be an issue that we're hearing about. Zoning, how to understand codes and regulation, commercial kitchen, cottage license. These are the things that we're breaking down for entrepreneurs within the city, and we ask that you continue to support us as we make this process a little bit more seamless so that entrepreneurs can be successful and contribute to the economy.
Thank you. Any questions for Dr. Nicole? Thank you. Appreciate what you're doing. I think this is a big investment that we made with the Montgomery Thrive money, so we appreciate you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Joe Purnell, Salvation Army.
Good evening.
Good evening.
I'm here to address the issue, the matter of the Salvation Army. Currently, right now, from what I can see, that the Salvation Army is homeless. On July 13th, July 8, 2013, Pope Francis visited the island of Lapidosa, in an Italian island, to bring world attention to the plight of the migrants from Africa. I'm here in the same stead to do the same thing for the Salvation Army, because there seems to be a local indifference to the need of the Salvation Army. I mean, it has been here. Every community, from what I can understand, needs a Salvation Army, has a Salvation Army. And I don't understand why we can't seem to get our Salvation Army back online. It serves a purpose. It is needed. It serves people in need. Jesus said that the poor shall always be among us, but that is not being addressed. That is not the city's responsibility, but the Salvation Army was serving that need. But we are not addressing the homelessness or the relocation of the Salvation Army. I'm just raising that issue to see what is timeline, what efforts are being made, why hasn't there been a relocation done? I mean, it was closed, and the area where it was has been replaced by a business. So why can't the Salvation Army have a place in our community? Why is there such a local indifference to it? And I'm just here to bring this issue up before the City Council to ask what is being done.
Mr. President?
Mr. Mitchell?
Is Eddie in the building? Eddie, can you come up? So District 6, we had 3 locations that Salvation Army was interested in having in District 6. And the residents came out in droves to talk against having the Salvation. And so I think every district has had an opportunity to have Salvation Army, but it has been rejected by the people that we serve. So Eddie, you can talk, attest to everything that we are saying, and how many districts had Salvation Army interested, but the people in that area did not want it.
Go ahead.
Yeah, and it concerns me when I hear citizens say that the city's not doing anything. We actually have a hub called the Consolidated Homeless Service Center that's helping homeless. We have 211 that you can call for anything if you need something for the homeless. Right now we have a task force with 78 organizations that's helping the homeless, whether it's feeding them, clothing them, or whatever. So the city is helping the homeless. Now the Salvation Army, they do need a location, and we're meeting tomorrow to try to solidify a location, but the citizens is going to have to change their hearts in order to let them get a location here in Montgomery.
So there's a local indifference.
That's correct.
Mr. President, I want to point something out, though.
Mr. Mash.
I want to point something out, and I appreciate you bringing this up. In District 7, we have the warming center and the hub, and District 7 has never been asked to have the Salvation Army, and I'd be happy to have that discussion and consider that being an asset to our area. But what I do want to point out is that, and I think it's important to highlight this. This past weekend on Friday, I got a phone call from a family of 5, mother, father, a 5-year-old, a 4-year-old, and a 3-year-old, who are in a rental property in District 7, who had an electrical panel issue, had no power, no heating, and got put out. They stayed in a hotel for 2 days as the most that they could afford to stay there, and they called me, they didn't know what to do. 211, they called, there was nothing. They were told to call 311, and 311 couldn't offer anything. 311 told them to call the clerk's office, and the clerk called me, and if it wasn't for the help of some concerned citizens and some groups like the Mercy House coming together to put some funds together to get an Airbnb for that family, which they're in today, they would have been on the street. 2 months ago, when I was at a event where we had squatters in a house, we had 7 individuals in the house, 2 of whom were children. Police and fire did a great job in responding to that. But when asked where the kids and the mom could go, they told them there's nowhere for them to go that's associated with the city. So I watched as those kids and that mom walked to the 85 bridge where they slept that night. Okay? So I appreciate what the hub was for, and I know that it provides services, but you were right. We need beds, showers, and hot meals for people, whether they're chronically unhoused or in an emergency or temporary situation like the family that's in this Airbnb right now. Okay? So I don't think that it's necessarily just that there's an apathy for it, but we don't have the answer, and I don't think we should be misleading people about that answer. If somebody becomes, like this family was, I was told by multiple agencies and those that didn't answer the phone that there was nowhere for that family to have a meal, a shower, and a place to sleep that night.
Mr. President?
Ms. Beard, and you, Ms. Joseph.
Yes, Mr. President. Mr. Compton, you know, you and I had this discussion that there was available property that somebody's going to donate, going to give you a donation of property. Mr. Compton, I believe, met with some Salvation Army folks. I did not get to attend that day, but there's like 6 or 7 lots that a family is going to donate for you to build a Salvation Army. And the information I got back from that was not an ideal place for it. And so I have somebody that contacted me that has property, give it to you, ready to go, but you have to build. Another thing too is that, and I kind of want to piggyback on Andrew, we helped a lady yesterday get into Mobile, into a motel, because there's no beds available in the city. You contact Friendship Mission, they're full. The other mission is full. EMA, I understand that where we are now, they can't even sleep at night at the warming center. They have to sit up because they don't have anywhere to put the cots. And so we're in Montgomery, we're in a crisis here. We don't have anywhere to put these people on the streets and that, you know, they're not there on their own accord. And we're taking meals and out of our own pockets just like everybody else. We need some help with this homelessness and some beds. So I don't know if Mr. Compton talked to you about the property or what, or who we've gone to the property. I'd love to share it with anybody else that wants to see it.
So this gentleman is not from the Salvation Army. He's
Okay.
just a
He's just a
citizen.
concerned citizen.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Well, there's property that can be available.
Right. Ms. Johnson, and we're going to close this.
I won't be long, Mr. President.
Thank you.
So I just want to be clear to the public, and I appreciate your concern as well, that as the city, we didn't just put Salvation out. Salvation Army received funds to go to a location, and as Councilor Mitchell stated, either the community didn't want it or it wasn't ideal for Salvation Army to build out. So it's not like they don't have the funding to do what they need to do. It could be a whole lot of things from their structure that's not on our side. Secondly, we have Friendship Mission, and I know this isn't ideally something that can happen immediately to a situation that Councilor Samansky brought up, but we are working. The Consolidated Homeless and the task force, they are doing things. We did use some ARPA dollars, and it went towards Friendship Mission. That's a little piece of it, but there are 3 buildings that are going to be renovated, and we're looking at about 67 additional beds in the near future. But this is something that it just can't happen overnight, and unfortunately the situation did happen with Salvation Army, but it wasn't at no cost. You understand what I'm saying? So I don't want to hear that the public feels like, oh, the city isn't doing anything, because there's a 2-way street with that kind of situation. And then, but to deal with the homeless, we are doing things, and we are working as council members in our particular areas with nonprofits that are doing stuff, as Councilor Samansky brought up. There's many nonprofits that are doing great work and helping house people from fires to all kinds of things that are happening in the community. So they aren't going unhoused. And some that are unhoused, some of them want to be unhoused. And so those are some things that we're dealing with. So it's not just Montgomery has a whole lot of homeless people that we aren't helping. We're helping every day. When you're asleep, we are trying to find somewhere for someone to sleep.
Yes, ma'am. I just wanted to raise that issue. I'm not pointing fingers, but it is an issue.
Yes.
I mean, when you look around the city, you see the panhandlers and everything. I mean, when you look at the fact that under the circumstances under which the Salvation Army was closed, and then there's a need. I mean, you have all of these great agencies that you have named, but you're still coming up short. Not just a little bit short, you're coming up vastly short. So I'm just asking, needs to be done. Everybody's shifting, shuffling, and shoving, but no one is securing. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Eddie.
Mr. Vice President, I just want to get this on the record to Councilman Samansky that I sent you a proposal, a policy brief for property in your district for the Salvation Army. It was the old St. James School. I'll resend that tomorrow.
The old St. James School. This is South Carter Hill Road.
You got it, then.
We got one more, Mr. Jamel Brown.
Come on.
Come on. Let's roll it.
Come on, Mr. Brown.
You up, Mr. Brown? Reverend.
Start the clock.
Thanks, sir.
I just giving him a he'll pass him down. Your time started, sir.
Okay. The first one,
Just keep
on Fairview. Now, I'm out of breath that quick. I did my homework last week. I went to every gas station in District 4. The new Shell across the Carver is the only service station has a business license for 24 hours. Quick Trip don't, other several gas stations don't. The council member for District 4, Mr. President, visit the Shell gas station and tell them how many employees they need to have there, tell them what kind of security they got to have there, and just harasses them. I ain't never seen nothing like this before in my life. I thought the city council legislate, the mayor execute, and you have professionals that go to these businesses, and if they in violation of any code, they will fine them, they will check them. But ladies and gentlemen, the council member for District 4 send an unofficial letter to these folks, tell them they got to have about 3 or 4 people working at a certain time. If they don't have security, that she going to come to the council and make them come from 24 hours to close at 11. But Mr. President, if the business license say 24 hours and it's on the paper, y'all see it, how can a city council member come to a business and tell them, well, if you don't follow what I tell you to do, not the council, but what I tell you to do, I'm going to bring you to the council and tell them to knock your 24 hours back off. And send somebody that is an unpaid city employee, whose name I would not call, to go take pictures of these businesses. If they have to have security guard, ladies and gentlemen, Phillips and Ryder Funeral Home needs a security guard. They do. I'm scared going out and little Pookie get shot because all his homeboys gonna be in there with them guns. They need a security guard. Every other business, all this I showed you, none of them got security guard. Several on 24 hours. But she hard on Shell gas station. If I'm a business owner and I open up a strip club in Montgomery, if I want 20 freaky girls up in there, Mr. President, how y'all can tell me just put 10? If I got business lights for 20, let me keep my 20. don't tell me to do 10. But
Thank you, Mr.
that's
Brown.
the time,
Thank
but
you,
I
Mr.
want y'all to
Brown.
read that
Thank
and
you.
handle that.
Thank you, Mr. Brown. All right, any council have anything?
Yeah, I do,
Mr.
Mr.
Brown?
Chairman. I do. A couple of things about business. Yes, sir. No. I was talking to him. I'm sorry. I've got something. We had a situation last week that somebody at East Chase had somebody from business license come and see them, and it wasn't about this year's business license last year. And they wrote their check and it got sideways. So my question would be, how many of these business licenses are we not calling on them for a year? I know we're short over there, so what are we doing to double up to make sure? Because this is a good little check now. This was a nice little check. So we got to make sure that we don't let, had they gone out of business, we'd have never got it. So, but these people carried it down there and going to pay this year's. But we waited 1 full year before we dunned them for the bill. So I'm kind of thinking, who's over there?
Revenue, will you come address Mr. Grimes' concern, please?
Bob, I know you and I have already talked about this a little bit.
Yes.
When I came over the other day. I understand we're short for that district, but
Yes,
what
we
are we
are.
doing to fill that gap? Because this is a lot of money.
We have hired an examiner for that area.
Sound like a winner.
And of course, right now, we're in the midst of license renewal season, and you're aware of what chaos we're going through right now.
I do, and that's another question that leads into this. I don't know if y'all have gotten any calls, but I've got a couple of calls from CPAs and business owners that they can't see what they owe. They got to call the number.
That's correct.
Or go down there, and I went down there, and boys and girls, they've been overrun with people. So where are we at? Getting that on the website. Are we any closer that these people can find out what they owe without calling you or coming down to 25 Washington?
Well, normally in a license renewal season in past years, we've sent out the renewal forms with the pertinent information.
Right.
As you're aware, this council changed out the NAICS codes and also increased the license fees. As a result, the way it changed, it's not like just simply your license code for this is this. There's a lot of changes in the NAICS codes this year. Also, the license fee schedule has changed significantly. There's different tiers on certain of these schedules. So it's not just a this to this.
Well, the main thing that puts us behind
Talk to the mic.
when the gentleman on the contractor
Speaking
came
to
up.
the mic.
Come on.
They tell them to stop.
Yeah. But yes, we were delayed because of that. So.
Yeah, my deal, Bob, I don't need to make it easy on you. I was down there the other day, and it was lunchtime, and 102 had already been through to get it. Man,
That's correct.
I mean, 102 folks. I mean, that's a lot of people in the secure area.
Never been that way before.
And they're getting overrun. I'm not beating on you. We got to get that solved. Is that an IT issue that we need to upload all that information?
It's not something we can really do this year.
Is it manually inputting that into the software? Is that what's happening?
Well, state law only says we have to send out a notice.
Use the microphone, please.
Bob said.
Use the mic.
Bob said she was supposed to.
State law says we only have to send out a notice saying it's time for renewal. We went above and beyond these past years and sent out a license with the calculations on the back.
Okay.
But we don't have to do that.
And for alerting them on how much they
There
owe?
were issues this year because of with our software. It was not an easy conversion. There had to be a lot of testing, retesting, working through bugs and all. In fact, we didn't even get it up, have it ready to go until almost the end of December.
All right. So we got to have all these thousands of people call y'all or come down there, right?
At this time, yes.
They have to leave a message usually on.
Like I said, we are working as diligently as fast as we can.
I'm really not beating on you guys. I'm just bringing this to light that we can't have, and that's got to get better.
All right, any other council?
I got one more thing, CC.
Okay, come on.
It's about one of the alarm calls. Alabama Christian Academy had a false alarm, and they got pegged for $25, which they're not complaining. They got a monitoring system. Then they got pegged for $750 for not having a permit. And the permit costs $10. The monitoring system don't even know how to buy a permit.
Mr. Grimes, and I think what we did, I think the council passed this years ago, Mr. Jim Wright. It's something that I think we need to look at and repeal because there's a lot of business got that on false alarm. I got calls from AB Sportswear this week, so we just need to look at that and repeal that ordinance, and we won't have to deal with that anymore. But I think the monitoring company is somewhere, Arizona, somewhere like that, and then they're sending it with the MPD or fire department label on that. We just need to repeal that.
Sounds like a winner. Thank you.
Good idea.
Mr. President, one thing, and I was notified by my neighborhood association that and I just want to speak on it, that we no longer can do off-duty police officer for us patrolling neighborhoods for us paying them off-duty. Mr. Reed, can you, Chief here, or anybody can speak on?
I'll let Chief Grayboy speak to that. Chief Grayboy.
And I just wasn't aware because I was going back and forth with them saying that we could, but they sent me an email.
Come up to the podium, Chief Grayboy.
Repeat your question.
No.
Can you repeat your question, Councilman?
For tickets, we couldn't have them to do tickets, but I didn't know. All right. So, Chief, first of all, congratulations, sir.
Thank you.
I know we had a discussion about off-duty police officers actually, giving tickets, stopping people, but my neighborhood association just sent me an email saying that we could no longer get them for neighborhood nights out. We can't get them to do any patrol for the actual neighborhood. Like if I had a neighborhood that I wanted to do some night patrol, me hiring off-duty officers, we are no longer able to do that, and I just want to make sure that that was correct.
Well, I think based on what you just said, I mean, since you, for neighborhood like nights out or functions or something like that, get with my office so we can actually assign on-duty officers to work with you on special details or special things. We'll work with you. I mean, we have a COP unit specifically for that purpose of helping us tailor some of our responses. And so that's something that's very doable. And I would say get with me and we can work some things out. But we have to be able to utilize on-duty officers to tailor responses to things that happen in different neighborhoods, because we are a public service for all of the public and all of the citizens. When it comes to the idea of paying an off-duty officer to privately police, then that puts us into really murky legal waters, and it puts us into contradiction to state laws.
Yes, sir.
So that's why I would say if you're wanting to do some special things and specific things in certain areas of your neighborhood or certain concerns, then let's sit down and we'll work something out where I can utilize on-duty units and on-duty resources to.
Yes, sir. I just want to make sure that was correct. Thank you, sir.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Mitchell. Anyone else? All right, it's now 5:04. We'll recess for 10 minutes. The council meeting will start at 5:15.